Hey guys, welcome to what I hope becomes a new segment on this channel, with YouTube recently adding instructional hacking content to their blacklist and poorly defining whatever the hell that even means. The writing was on the wall when it came to any tutorial mildly hacking related. To add insult to injury, a couple of days ago I was dropped by my YouTube network as a result. So I'm having to diversify. Not every day does a new pie come along that I can gander at, or some security related project or program that I reckon will skirt the purview of the ever-present yet ambiguous YouTube police. So I figured a cybersecurity news segment is something that I really ought to look at. There's a lot that goes unreported in the mainstream media when it comes to InfoSec. A lot of this stuff just doesn't fall under the remit of understanding or even interest of ordinary folk. But before we get to the news, Maltronics.com, a site I own and run, has just got these brand spanking new gold-plated PCB rulers in. They're pretty nifty and I'm very proud of them. The site also sells a range of pen testing gear, so check it out in the description. For the next 2 days, we're offering 10% off everything to celebrate the release of our new rulers. And yeah, we really did call them Ruly McRuleface. I'm sure you'll all have heard by now of Elon Musk's latest project, Neuralink. It's been a long-time goal of Elon to achieve a sort of symbiosis between humans and artificial intelligence. Mobile phones are great, but our interface with them, i.e. touch and speech, is really low bandwidth. Some kind of link between the human brain itself and technology is the next logical step. That is, of course, if you haven't learned any lessons from Black Mirror. Elon's great new idea, a cyborg-esque implant that'll read your brainwaves, initially in order to control mouse movement, typing, etc. These kind of interfaces aren't new, they've been around for years. Elon just aims to do this a lot better and at a much higher resolution than the already available technology, as well as sprinkling in some Elon-level ambition. I'm not going to go too deep in how this technology works, though I'll leave a link in the description to a video that does that in great detail. The risks and dangers here don't necessarily lie on the medical front. Sure, having a robot literally drill a hole in your skull and poke wires into it does sound a little invasive. However, these procedures will be very repetitive and eventually they will be perfected. That robot poking around in my brain will be the least of my concerns. The problem itself lies in the underlying technology that's going to be powering this system. The data collected from your brain will be communicated over Bluetooth to your phone. Two key words there, Bluetooth and phone. Bluetooth already has many known vulnerabilities, of which it's vulnerable to spoofing, sniffing, tracking, and jamming of the data. Whilst many of these issues can be mitigated with proper encryption, side-channel attacks or traffic analysis may allow attackers to extract certain information. And that's before we even get to the implications of your phone handling this data. It's not rare for a vulnerability in Android, iOS, Huawei devices, or whatever it happens to be on any given week to emerge. Though when it's your actual thoughts on the firing line and not just your risque photos, I guess this ups the ante a little bit, don't you think? I suppose it really depends on where the data processing is done. If the chip that sits on your skull simply abstracts your thoughts to a reasonable extent, then I suppose we have less to worry about, as opposed to if the bulk of the processing is done on your phone itself, or heaven forbid, in the cloud. Nevertheless, I'm glad it's Musk spearheading this new technology. I mean, who else would you rather put in control of this? In other news, I'm sure you'll remember that recent WhatsApp hack. An Israeli-based company, the NSO Group, developed Pegasus, a suite of smartphone-based spyware tools that could be installed on a victim's device simply by calling them via WhatsApp. A buffer overflow vulnerability would then allow for the installation of this spyware. The call didn't even have to be answered for the hack to take effect. All you had to do was receive a call from a bad actor, and that was it. I'll have my previous video on this topic linked below. Well, it would seem NSO is back at it again with some new drama. A leaked sales pitch document shows NSO is now advertising Pegasus with the ability to copy authentication keys to services including Google Drive, Facebook Messenger, and iCloud from an infected phone to a web server. When you use your phone, you don't, for example, have to log into Google Drive each time you open an app. You log in once and Google will provide you with an authentication key. This authentication key is what's stored on your phone, it isn't visible to you, and it allows you to use the app each time without having to log in. These authentication keys is what the Pegasus spyware is now capable of nabbing. Not only this, but NSO has the ability to spoof your phone, to impersonate it, to use these authentication keys to access your data, but simultaneously make it look like it's just your phone accessing this data. And the impersonation aspect is real important, as when your device changes location or there's some other major change, Google, for example, will typically ask you to re-enter your password. Amazon, Apple, and Google all shrugged off this discovery, Apple in particular claiming, "We do not believe these are useful for widespread attacks against consumers." And yeah, they're probably right. The losers here will be terrorists, dissidents, but also journalists in some cases. Remember, the NSO group sells their software, their spyware, to countries, to governments. If you want to learn more about the NSO group, I'll link my previous video on the WhatsApp hack in the description. Now, this is just something I couldn't leave out. In This Week in Stupid, I spotted a tweet from Marcus Mengs pointing out an embarrassing gaffe in a German news article. The article discusses the raid of a dark web forum for dealing drugs, though the caption to the image reads, "A man in the typical work clothes of cybercriminals buys heroin, cocaine, meth, MD5 or SHA." Now, I don't know about you guys. Let me know your favorite type of hash in the comments. Personally, in the evening after a long day of work, I'll stick on some Tame Impala and have me a bit of SHA 256. Tasty stuff. Next up, good news for the bug hunters among us. Google is upping the ante and doubling, in some cases tripling, the baseline reward paid to bug hunters. The scheme was launched about 9 years ago, but at that time it paid only $500 baseline for eligible bugs. ThreatPost reported, the company is wise to boost payments as private firms continue to tempt bounty hunters with big payouts. Zerodium, a private exploit acquisition firm, advertises payouts up to 500 grand. Zerodium is a company that privately buys exploits and supposedly resells them to governments to use for who the hell knows what. Pretty tempting for bug hunters given they're willing to pay stonks. It's real important that Google puts its money where its mouth is to keep the bounty hunters on the side of the public. When a bug is sold to Google, we get a fix. When it's sold to a government, it's potentially used against us. The max reward Google currently has out is $150K for a Chromebook or Chromebox compromise with device persistence in guest mode. This week, Russia took an L and saw the largest ever data breach in the history of the Russian FSB. That's Russia's Federal Security Service. Similar to the FBI or MI5. Though they aren't limited to just domestic affairs, they have their fingers in many a hole, including overseas electronic surveillance and intelligence gathering. The hacker group, I'm not even going to try pronouncing that one, broke into Cytec, a major contractor used by the FSB. The hackers managed to steal 7.5 terabytes of data, exposing secret FSB projects to de-anonymize Tor browsing, scrape social media, and help the state split its internet off from the rest of the world. In terms of Tor de-anonymization, Russia has been looking for ways to compromise nodes within Tor's structure to either prevent off-grid communications or intercept those communications, none of which is new news. It is believed that some progress has been made under this project by setting up rogue servers which act as gateways, though this approach is not entirely new, as there have been genuine concerns regarding malicious Tor servers for many years now. 7.5 terabytes is a lot of data to trawl through, and this has only come to light in recent days, so I'll save the bulk of this topic until something really saucy comes to light. Though if you want to read more, you will of course be able to find further reading in the description. So that's where I'm going to leave this roundup. Let me know what you guys think of this segment in the comments. I'm real interested to hear what you guys have to say. If you want to get more videos like this as soon as they're released, make sure to hit that notification bell, like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, stay tuned for more hacking videos. Have a good one.